Hey everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. Way Through News meteorologist Brian Good here. Boy, we have a lot to cover today. It's been a busy week. All right, so we're going to pace ourselves with this one, all right? Let me start you with the stats. Now, this does factor in the snow so far today. 15.3 inches here in Louisville. We will see a new total come out later on, so we'll let you know how that changes. That is above normal, not only to year-to-date, but it's normal for the entire winter. Normal for a winter here in Louisville is 12.5. We've certainly beat that. We're closing in on last year, in fact. All right, let's talk about the snow part first. Winter weather advisory in effect this afternoon for all of our counties for the snow squalls that are still out there on the radar. I'll show you those in a second. Also, wind chill advisory is in effect later on for this evening all the way through Thursday evening. Now, an advisory for wind chills, the threshold for that is at least 10 below zero. That's likely to be met for tonight. The question for the next threshold is 25 below. At that point, you upgrade to a wind chill warning. The data is still suggesting we're going to reach that level or exceed it. So we have a weather a conference call with the Weather Service coming up in about an hour and a half. Fully expect there to be an upgrade here to a wind chill warning based on these new numbers rolling in today. So either way, dangerously cold weather is moving in. There are the snow squalls right now passing through. We've had a few across Scott County, mainly across Indiana so far. Be careful. These can put down a quick half-inch of snow, blowing snow, so your visibility is severely reduced and can cause a huge travel headache. Fairly quiet on the Kentucky side, but we do have some activity here around Evansville. We'll see how this plays out later on today. The sun outside, actually, sun breaks are feeding these like you would like in the thunderstorms in the summertime. There's a wider view showing how they're passing through, but once we lose the sun, these will begin to fade away. Look at those winds. Man, it's got a bite to it. That's that Arctic air just surging in from the west-northwest, gusting at times over 30 miles per hour. 17 here, already down to 12 in Seymour. Our drop has begun. That will continue. Current wind chill right now is 1 above, but 1 below 0 in Paoli and Jasper, and 3 below into Seymour. Futurecast on the snow squalls showing fading away after sunset. Now, tomorrow there's a chance we may see more redevelop in the afternoon, mainly east of 65. So we may add in another snow chance for Thursday afternoon for snow squalls. Just a heads up there. Here are the forecast temperatures tonight. Not wind chill. Temperatures. Record tonight is 0 in Louisville. That is gone. The way it's looking, we're going to be averaging out around 11 below. Now, this model is not seeing some areas of the really deep snowpack. You know, we saw Brandenburg yesterday dip to about 19 below 0 when Louisville was 3 above 0. So we're forecasting about 10 to 11 below here, but there's some spots that could easily reach 20 below 0 for an actual temperature tomorrow in outlying areas. So keep that in mind. This is dangerously cold air in the city and especially outside the city. Highs tomorrow in the city and most areas will be stuck in the single digits. That will be a record too, because the coldest February 19th we've ever had is 18 degrees in the afternoon hours. The last time we had single digits for highs is 1996, February 3rd. So it's been a long time. That record is going to be shattered because we're not going to warm at all. And then the winds relax Friday morning, so we have a better chance to drop even lower temperature-wise on Friday morning, which is going to put us certainly breaking a record. The record Friday is 0. That's gone. But some spots could be even colder Friday morning. Now, the winds will be weaker, but there still will be a wind chill factor to worry about. The winds are strong tomorrow morning. That's why we could see that wind chill warning, 25 to 30 below 0. And then as we get into the afternoon hours tomorrow, we'll stay below 0 for a wind chill all day long. And then as we get into Friday morning, wind chills, still bad, but they will be eased somewhat because they do relax, but still certainly will meet advisory criteria and could meet warning criteria again Friday. All right, once we get past this record outbreak of cold weather, we head into the weekend mess. You take the jet stream across the country. Anytime you have any type of influence, there's a seesaw effect. We're expecting a shortwave piece of energy to dive down the Rockies, very similar to what we just saw last weekend. Behind that is a strong Arctic high. That is going to push downward on this section of the jet. You get an opposite reaction. It's going to push this part upward. That's a warm flow. The models vary on the intensity of that and the track of the low pressure. Because the low pressure can track more north and west, the better a chance it has to make that seesaw effect more dramatic on the eastern side here, therefore also very deep on the western side. So there's a lot of variance here in the models and how they're handling this. But they all agree that there's going to be a seesaw effect enough to create some warming over us as we get into Saturday. So we're fairly confident that the air above us is going to warm up. The problem we're going to have is going to be the lower levels where we are at ground level. Models are going to struggle. They do know about snowpack. Snowpack data is actually ingested into computer models, but they still struggle with that because they forecast temperatures for the most part about 2 meters on up. But areas close to the ground, like the driveway, your porch, the snow could be enough that it'll keep it right at 32 or lower, to where you go above the tree line or right at the tree line, it may be pure rain, but you get down to the ground, it still may be freezing rain for the whole event. That is a possibility for some locations that we've got to watch. It's a very complicated setup. We've got Arctic cold, record Arctic cold. We've got a snowpack. We have warming aloft, and not to mention, we will likely get a burst of snow with the system and freezing rain before we get into the Saturday issue of how warm do we get and how does that affect the low levels. Very complicated setup. I don't want to go to a lot of detail. I'm going to show you as much as I can today to give you all a heads up, because I do think this is a significant setup for the Ohio Valley. But keep in mind, it's going to change a lot between now and Friday even. So make sure to stay tuned to the forecast, and we'll try to hash this out. We've got to get through this cold air first to figure out how that's going to play out, because if this is not correct on the model data, then that'll influence the weekend, obviously. But anyway, I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. All right, here we go with the GFS. You see that push downward. Here's the push upward. But the issue we're going to be worried about, look how much moisture this could have along the front. You don't want to play around with that. Frozen or liquid, that's a lot of moisture that's going to be setting up. So let me show you the NAM model, which is only short-range model. It's able to really see out right now, and it'll struggle along term versions here of its actual self, but we'll at least give you an idea of precip types that we're expecting. This is Friday afternoon, Friday evening. You see it's moving into the Arctic air. It starts up with snow. Then there's the sleet in orange, and that's freezing rain. You see the red line is the freezing line down in Arkansas. Then as we get into later on Friday night, moderate snow, if not heavy snow, across Kentucky and central Tennessee. You see that freezing line working its way northbound. We head into after midnight Friday night. Now we're into that sleet, freezing rain mode in central Kentucky. Still snow in Indiana. Duration is everything on how long this all happens. And then as we get into Saturday, it takes the 35-degree line right along the river, which is just a cold rain, which is miserable. Center of low pressure in Arkansas, and then the backside is heavy snow, the main snow in Indiana, now on I-70. 35 degrees. Man, that's going to be a tough one. Here's the Schruf ensembles. I think this is the good way of looking at it. As we go through time here, it shows the likelihood for this to start off as snow Friday night, and then you see as we into Friday night into Saturday morning, you see what it's doing. It's like, boy, we got a problem. The red line's freezing rain, green is rain, and it tells you the possibilities really get confusing here early on Saturday. But then eventually the rain, the green line, dominates on this. It takes us to about 35 as well for a high on Saturday. But you see the transition period, we got to watch for icing, but very high confidence will they start off as snow. Question is, how much snow will we get before? Now, the RPM can't exactly see all the way there yet. It's almost there, so it's hard to really trust that model. GFS is seeing a chance for some accumulations potentially out of that in the initial start of it. The NAM model is also seeing that potential as well as we head into the morning hours. A few inches of snow not out of the question. And then the European model as well has a little bit of today's snow mixed in, so it'll take some off of this total. About 1 to 3 inches potentially out of that. So not an easy setup. When it comes to icing, the NAM model does pick up at some icing, at least through the beginning stages, that warm push as we get into 11:30, as far as you can see right now. But you do see the potential for maybe a quarter of an inch of ice. That is significant even for southern Kentucky, and that would likely expand more in our area even later than that. This is not going to be an easy one, guys. I'm going to keep it 3 Twix bars for this one because of a scale of 0 to 10 because of the impact this could have. Whether it's snow and freezing rain at the beginning and it goes to heavy rain on Saturday, it's just a messy setup. So it bears watching. And then I think we have that cold snap next week after that. It could give us more snow, so I'm going to give that at a 1. But we got a lot to track in just the next 4 to 5 days. All right, so I can't stress again how dangerous this cold snap is. You got to prepare for this. Be careful. And cover all your exposed skin the best you can. And let us worry about the weekend system right now. Don't get too caught up and panicky about snow or ice or anything like that. Let us handle that. We're watching it. We'll let you know how it trends and let you know when we need to start preparing for something more significant than what we're looking at now. All right, so stay tuned.